supplemental learning for your mini. But you can learn too. Don't send your mini into the belly of the beast unarmed. Courses, practical math, language, the code, our story, and more. An institution founded by us, dedicated to us and our fight for justice. Here you will learn ways to combat the system using the same information they are trying to keep away from you. Welcome to FBA Sunday School.
What's up, everybody? Happy Saturday. And, well, it's almost the end of the month. Or I guess it is the end of the month. It's almost the new month. It's almost October. Today, September 28th, 2024. I know you weren't really expecting to hear from me tonight, but that's all right. Me and the man, we put our heads together, put our thinking caps on, and said, y'all need more uncomfortable conversations, especially this election season. A couple weeks ago, we talked about how it's not election day anymore. It's election months here in Virginia. It's like 2 months of pre-election, and then the actual election day where you can't vote after that day, the day that they want you to show up to the polls if you haven't mailed in your ballot. But well, last time I think they did some funny business with the numbers. A lot of the unseasoned American population definitely thought that there was some funny business going on with the numbers. The math won't math in to the extent where they storm the Capitol peacefully, maybe. I don't know. Tonight I wanted to talk about Kamala's most unforgivable crime. I guess that's almost a direct quote from the Donald. So I guess shout out to number 45, because you've got some quotables, guy. I mean, really, from poop hole countries to you're fired, which that was all popularized before you decided to run for president. What's going on, all the way free. And to you listeners, what's going on? If you generally like what I have to say, please make sure you share the conversation. You don't want to be the only one uncomfortable tonight. Also, maybe if my conversation or voice doesn't make you uncomfortable, maybe just the topic, you can make it uncomfortable for someone else. Make it something that they have to think about. I think about conversations I've had with my own parents about, about the illegals, about the wars, about children. And, well, I wanted to start tonight with the Sunday school commercial, because tomorrow's Sunday. And if you're sending your minis into the belly of the beast, make sure that they are armed with the proper knowledge. And, well, I have a treat for you. Let me see if I can get my sharing capabilities up and running. Don't fire me. Here we go. Study asks 10-year-olds and 11-year-olds to weigh in on the election. Look, if y'all think that the babies are not listening, you might be retarded, because they're absolutely listening, to the point where, some of your children are cursing because they hear you cursing. Shout out to our minis who have a very colorful language association, but I feel like maybe they understand that there's a time and a place, or at least I hope we're teaching that to them. When they do it the right way, it's so hard sometimes to be like, oh, how'd you get there? But then you have to be reflective. You have to accept the fact that they're a sponge. They are absolutely doing everything that we're doing. And even if you're not telling them, hey, do this, they're watching you. They're listening to the conversations, and they have thoughts. Here are some thoughts.
What's the first word that pops into your head when you hear the name Kamala Harris?
Liar.
What's the first word that pops into your head when you hear Donald Trump?
Pure evil.
Which one do you think is more selfish?
Like selfish, probably her.
Kamala Harris?
Yeah, because girls are a little bit dramatic sometimes.
And do you think that people in the United States are ready to have another 4 years of Donald Trump if he's reelected?
No,
Why not?
because like I feel like all he does is like complain and like yell.
The researchers found that opinions of the candidates from these 10 and 11-year-olds spanned a spectrum as wide as America.
Donald Trump, he's given his life and his heart. She even shook hands with Mr. Trump to greet him before the started the debate, which is pretty kind of when you're going against your opponent.
The study was designed by psychologist Ashley Landrum and political scientist Shanto Iyengar. Landrum conducted all the interviews and showed the students pictures of the candidates and asked them questions like,
Which one of these two do you think is more honest?
Which one of these two do you think would keep us safer if they were elected?
Landrum also showed them an emoji chart and a feelings chart and asked them questions like this.
I'm going to ask you how much you like each of these two candidates.
The questions were phrased to promote more open-ended conversations.
I live in an apartment. I want to get a house, but it's hard.
One thing that the kids talked a lot about, former President Trump's legal issues.
How much do you like Donald Trump using that scale?
Probably Donald Trump probably hates me for doing this. So
You really don't like Donald Trump?
I mean, come on, he went to like jail. I mean,
To be clear, while Trump was booked and released from jail, he didn't spend time behind bars. 32% of all students brought up the former president's legal issues. In general, kids who said they'd support Donald Trump did not see his legal problems as a disqualifier.
Hi, how are you doing today?
This was in May before Trump's conviction.
Should he be president again still?
Yeah, like we can say, for example, JFK. He cheated on his wife, but like people still love him.
Let's play a game.
Out of the mouth of babes, right? I mean, he said JFK cheated on his wife and people loved him, right? I mean, what's wrong with that? Well, I'm not used to a very big Eve on the screen. Let me fix that. 1 second. There we go. Okay, so out of the mouths of the babes, 10 and 11-year-olds weigh in on the 2024 election. And I can't even say I'm surprised. What I will say is that I think it's great. I think it's great that the children have opinions because it means that you guys are having conversations at home. I remember a time back in the day, as you know, I'm so old, that people didn't really talk about who they were voting for. You know, it was very private. It was very individualized. You took it to the ballot booth and then you left it there, and then whatever happened. And a lot of Black people voted for the seemingly Black person because, well, supposedly we need more of us in these positions of power so that we can finally have the math. But, well, as I've been newly dubbed a social studies teacher of sorts, I'm learning and also teaching the students that there have been Blacks in office for years. I mean, hundreds of years almost. No, definitely hundreds of years that there have been Blacks in political office, and 0.5%. That's where we are. Shout out to Dr. Claude Anderson, who did the math a long time ago about how much wealth we've had and how much wealth we've been able to gain, all the while all of these other groups of people who are new to this land, they don't have the same story. They don't have the same ties, but they're able to come in and make money off of our struggle, off of our fight, off of our backs. Literally, the country's wealth is only it's only available because they didn't pay the workers. I know a lot of you guys sometimes you start to say, well, I'm not going to put a dollar amount on my ancestors' trauma. And I'm not saying that you can be bought off, but I am saying that there's already been an established protocol to correct some things, to right some wrongs, to start to repair the people who've been harmed. And we keep getting passed over. And I wonder if it's because we just don't care. Kamala's most unforgivable crime might be that she doesn't care or she cares too much. I'll let you guys decide. But out of the mouths of babes, they luckily, at least for this conversation, have parents been vocal about what's going on this upcoming election, to the point where they have their own opinions. Let's see if I can get this back up without the commercial. Oh shit! I think I also have some background music for you. Let's give you some things to think about while you go to bed. Add that back to the stage, and boom. Just kidding, you can't hear it. Come on, he went to jail, right? I mean, y'all have to consider. I know you don't judge a book by its cover, but sometimes it's a good identifier of if it's going to put you to sleep. If the cover of the book isn't even interesting, then you might not even want to crack it open. I mean, yeah, some of you guys, you'll flip it over to the back and you'll say, let's give it a chance. So give these babies a chance. Let them tell you how they feel about this upcoming election.
Thomas Jefferson, both slave owners. Being a slave owner is really bad. It's a really bad thing. But they still had 2 terms. So I think even though Trump has done bad stuff, he still deserves to run for president.
There you have it. Or at least this is, one student's opinion about things. I find that, well, if you are paying attention to what your mini is being taught wherever they are, especially if it's in the public schooling system here in America, there is a emphasis on the founding fathers, right? And well, now, especially now in the woke era, there is an emphasis on, well, that was bad and they were men of that time. They don't really want to take account for the bad stuff as much as they want to just put it in place. They want to put it on the timeline and then act like all's forgiven since there aren't any slaves. But is all forgiven? I mean, if slavery just has a new name, which is the prison industrial complex, and I'm not saying that some people don't belong behind bars, but I'm also not a person who's out here trying to put people behind bars or make any decisions about their lives or be really judgy unless you are a melanated individual who doesn't understand respect your square, mind your state, solidifying your foundation and your core. If you don't get those principles, it might sound a little judgy, but I feel like there's a learning curve. You know, we've come into a very strange time where these children are more brave than some of you adults. And if it's just words, you know, and sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. And there are actual women around the globe being stoned for words or less, you know, showing a little too much ankle might get your head chopped off in places that don't necessarily have the same plumbing that we do. Trump called them shitholes. I I don't know if it's inaccurate as much as it's just very blunt. And our good brother Yoshimad said, you got to be blunt. How else are they going to take you seriously? So these children, you know, they're very blunt. I don't think that they're mincing their words as much as they're listening to the issues and they're making their opinion known, and not on their own. Obviously, this interviewer journalist lady that I can't think of what her name is right now, she went there to poll these children specifically for this content of sorts, or for this expose, or I don't know what you would call it, for this information share. And well, I've said even AI gets it, but to me, it seems like even the children get it. And I'm not just saying that because this one child on your screen feels like bad guys can do a good job. Some of y'all out here, you say you eat the meat and spit out the bones. And I get that. You know, who out here is eating bones unless you are coming from a place that doesn't have any meat? I do recall a time from before I was here, from before you were here, where maybe they didn't give us the best quality meat. Maybe we didn't have the best opportunities in the kitchen for gourmet meals, but that didn't stop us. We've always been fighting. And as I'm learning, I mean, the fight also extended to the kitchen. Just because you don't know of how many times we fought back, it doesn't mean that it didn't happen. It just means that your family story might not be told. It might be forgotten. It might become one of the nameless. And in a time where there are so many hashtags, essentially the nameless 2.0, 3.0, 2024, whatever you want to call it, uh, we might have to have some conversations because there's data to support forgetting things that you don't talk about. The same way that muscle memory is a thing. If you haven't rode a bike in some years, you probably can still do it if you're limber and flexible and can get up there. But maybe you have some difficulty stopping. Maybe you don't quite remember that you pedal the bike. Maybe you're so used to automation that, you know, it doesn't have a button. So what do we do? I hate that I had to say that, but in real time, I can't even think of the last time I rode a bike that wasn't stationary at the gym. So this is a conversation for me too. Um, it might be unforgivable to forget some things that we've already learned. In 2019, Kamala said that she wasn't going to do anything specifically for Black people to the tune of the rising tide lifting all boats. Now in 2024, everybody is agreeing the Black boat got a hole the size of Mount Rushmore. And the tide, we don't want the tide, not right now, because it's just gonna leak out. Essentially, we are driving on on the road in a car with a wheel with a hole in it. And outside of replacing the tire, getting an alignment, really, you got to replace all 4 tires for real, if you really want it to be like an optimal transition for your vehicle. And then whatever tires aren't bad, now you've got some premium spare tires. But the dollar ain't dollaring right now in Kamala and Biden's America. So maybe you can't just replace all 4 tires, but you replace the one, you get your alignment, you make sure everything is good to go. And now you don't have to worry about that tire anymore. But no, they're not giving us a tire. They're not giving us a fix a flat. They're just saying, don't run over any more nails. And yeah, we're putting the nails in the way, but just do your best to avoid them. Just do your best. And if you get into an accident, just make sure you got insurance. And if you hit somebody, I really hope you have insurance, because your ass is going to jail. No, I'm sorry. Well, I guess I'm only really sorry because it's not funny. Some of us do get in real trouble for some things that people get away with scot-free.
And now,
Which one of these two candidates do you think is more likely to do bad things?
Oh, convicted felon against a liar. Oh, who do I pick? Let's say Trump because he's a convicted felon.
Do you think it's okay for somebody who is a convicted felon?
That little baby was tormented. Did you see him? He has his hand over his face. Look, that child looks like he exists in a house where his mom wants Kamala to be the president and his dad is like, woman, are you crazy? Do you know what you're talking about? No, clearly you don't know what you're talking about because you're not out here doing these things. The dollar ain't dollaring, Becky. All right, so little Joey right here. He's so tormented. Look at him.
Felon against a liar.
Convicted felon against a liar. It's even more funny that she's giving them these mugshots. No, they're not mugshots. They're Politico thumbnails, right? They're election portraits, if you will. And he's so honest, right? Convicted felon, yes. He's been convicted of a bunch of felonies, to the fact that a lot of people have said, well, if you can run for president and be a felon, then you need to take it off of the job applications. And I kind of agree, but I kind of disagree. I think that the type of crime matters. If you stole a lot of money from somebody or someplace and got in trouble for it, and then you try to go work at a bank, the bank might want to know that you've got sticky fingers. Just seems like a liability issue. Why would I hire somebody who's already done this thing? Well, in 2024, this election season, well, the felon, is he in trouble for things that is going to make our country unsafe, or is he in trouble for things that I'm white and I said so just didn't cover him this time? Because he's not their candidate. I don't know. Okay, the convicted felon or the liar? Well, the liar. Is that untrue? Hasn't she been on record lying? They have this thing called fact check. Why? Because they kept telling us there's fake news. Everything's fake news. You got to Snopes it. You got to fact check it. They've got community notes and all sorts of people being able to weigh in on the validity and truth of things. Inside of that, I think every time that woman opens her mouth, not only is it word salad that isn't appetizing, it's not like a salad that you'd pay $25 for. It's one of those Wendy's side salads that have wilted iceberg lettuce and some flimsy melted cheese, because well, why not? And then some stale croutons, which I guess they're supposed to kind of be stale, so they give you that crunch. Maybe one cucumber, a sliver of a tomato that has the stem part still attached to it. And, well, that's the word salad that Kamala offers us to feed ourselves with. We keep asking her, what are these policies? How is she going to fix things? She literally says that things are bad. And if you elect her, then things aren't going to be bad. But you're already in office right now. So why can't you do something now about the bad? All the way free, that's a hell of a point. The liar in chief. Women's bodies, they say that if you aren't a woman, you shouldn't speak on these things, but people who have mutilated themselves and want to identify as women are very loud in that conversation. It's so crazy because I'm in the population of women who still have a cycle, right? My pieces and parts work, and fertile is maybe an understatement. Shout out to melanin and to fitness. Inside of that, I don't hear a lot of child rearing aged appropriate women in the kill the babies conversation. Do y'all? I find that it's a bunch of people who can't have babies anymore, people who have already had babies, people who would never be able to birth a baby anyway, talking about killing babies. It's so strange to me. But okay. Her homeland. Look, what is her homeland all the way free? Is it Jamaica? Jamaica. Or is it, oh, Canada? Because they're trying to tell us it was Compton, right? Like her homeland is here because she's one of those naturalized, birthed here citizens. I really hope Lindsey Graham's bill gets put into action, that ending that birthright citizenship, because just because you were born here does not mean that you don't have hostility to here. I think that you should still have to jump through the hoops. I really am so disgusted by the fact that some of you Blacks in America don't remember the fact that your ancestors had to walk around with papers. Literally, you was free, but you still had to verify that you was free. And then what if you came across the wrong one? Like, y'all want me to be afraid of the orange man. We've already had an orange man presidency. And if y'all thought that that was horrible and this isn't horrible, listen to your own arguments. Now is bad because of then. So all of it, ALL, all of it's got to go. I mean, I guess if we want the math to math immediately. But, well, I don't know. I kind of like that she's showing them pictures. They're not bad pictures. She's not doing the propaganda, caricature, demeaning, stereotypical things. She's not me. She didn't put Trump in a Captain America outfit or give Kamala her hot sauce and collard greens. No, she gave them some very nice pictures and said, hey, what do you think? Y'all should listen to the minis more. They know more than you give them credit.
Oh, my pick.
Look at him.
Let's say Trump because he's a convicted felon.
Do you think it's okay for somebody who is a convicted felon to become president of the United States?
Yes.
Many children were also very aware of the first assassination attempt on former President Trump.
And which one do you think is tougher?
Donald
Donald Trump?
Because he did survive a gunshot.
And does anything else make him tougher, do you think? Or was it mostly his reaction to that?
He's also pretty brave. I mean, if I was president and I was talking in front of a lot of people, I would be really scared.
And why would something like that happen?
There's like a lot of cruel people in the world and stuff. And like whenever something like that happens to them, they'll want to take it out on somebody else that they don't like.
Yeah. And how does that make you feel?
Kind of like nervous because like, and you never know, one day it could be you.
Did you hear her? She's so sweet, right? Little Jennifer. She's just like, why there gotta be bad people? But yeah, there's bad people. I think about their parents. I don't know. I guess I like to do the people watching thing. I like to make guesses about why somebody might come to the conclusion or realization that they come to, especially when they live where they live or with what I assume they have. Because, if we're being honest, everybody pocket watches, everybody is looking at everybody. And if you're not, then, well, shout out to you. Tell me how. How do you exist in a time where people are getting more than what you're getting, but it's in the tone of equality? There is no such thing as racism anymore, Eve. We're all equal. You can get married to a brat if you wanted to. I don't, but I mean, how does that make things equal? It's like we went to sleep knowing that we were integrated into a burning house and some people tried to get out. And then we woke up saying, oh, well, if the person in bed next to me doesn't have the same lineage or cultural identity as me, then the house ain't burning no more. They put the fire out. Just them being here in my bed was enough for the fire to go out. And maybe that's symbolic. The fire did go out with sexual access and symbols did the fire that is making sure that our ancestors' debt has been paid and cleared so that we can move on to the next step, whatever it's supposed to be. It's gone. Interracial sexual access being a thing because of loving in it's oh snap, was Loving in Virginia? Is Loving versus Virginia? Yeah, okay. There you go. Shout out to my state. And she didn't even want people to identify her as a Negro because she wasn't. We are a trifecta amalgamated people. And a lot of us have grandparents who were very proud to say who they were. And then, well, maybe they died, or maybe your parents put them in somebody's home and y'all forgot about them, or maybe they just never got to see you. Maybe you didn't get to see them until it was too late. Either way, the conversations aren't happening, the stories aren't being shared, and people are forgetting who they are. All the while, people who are not from here, people who know who they are, to the tune of, wasn't it in Chicago? Hey, wasn't it in Chicago that they had the Mexican Day Parade? Was that Chicago? No, that was somewhere else. There was a Mexican Day Parade here. I might have to look that up. And I think I talked about it a couple of weeks ago. And they were so upset that the city said that you need to tone it down. Well, how about you carry your behinds back over the border and celebrate over there? I mean, how can we exist in a time where we have sports competitions to say we're the best of the best in things that don't matter, running a ball, shooting a ball, throwing a ball, hitting somebody, shooting a gun, not at people, and just, I don't know, physical entertainment. And then you've got people who are citizens who root for their home country. I think there's got to be some new rules on citizenship. Again, especially if we come from a time where ancestors of ours had to walk around with papers that verified their existence, and also had to exist in a time where someone could take those papers, rip them up, and say, well, you mine now. Is that where we are? Are we repeating the past by allowing people who are not supposed to be over here stake claims to the things that are ours? If I read another article that says that there's a Lyft driver, fast food worker, service industry person who's not from here talk about the wages, I might scream. And it might be one of those piercing screams to alert the police in my area, because they circle black areas, just looking for some shit to get into. And that's not something I'd ever dealt with before being a gentrifier. But I'm sorry, if white people can walk around in my neighborhood and not be uncomfortable, I'll be damned if I feel uncomfortable surrounded by people who look like me. But then when you start paying attention, these people not like me either. They might have the same complexion. They might even have the same hair texture. But you start listening to the conversations, you start looking at how they do things. I mean, there was a whole stereotype about Mexican yards because, well, Sanford and Sons was all organized. And for a reason. That was a business, and a very good business. You got Mexicans taking over neighborhoods 20 years ago, and the yards start looking like Sanford and Sons, and we're all like, okay, well, I guess maybe I'll move out of here, or maybe I'll just stay and learn how to speak a Spanish. Psych, none of y'all learn how to speak Spanish. It was your children and some of the younger millennials out here who tried to make sure that there was no gap in communication. And I applaud you guys. I think it's commendable because, well, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. But you know what doesn't make sense? This.
For Vice President Harris, students from both schools had a lot to say about her race and gender.
So, do you think it matters more to voters that she's a woman or that she's a person of color?
I don't really care about what color she is. I just care about the personality and what she wants to do.
Do you think people would be bothered at all by the fact that Kamala Harris is, half Black and half
No,
Indian American?
no, because Barack Obama was elected twice, 2 terms, served all 8 years.
It'd be good for us to have a black woman as president for the first time in history.
Yeah.
But my vote's kind of still on Trump.
Out of the mouths of babes, I'm trying to tell you. And look, y'all are gonna have to excuse their ignorance. They're being asked leading questions. So the woman led with her being Black. So the children are just trying to be politically correct, as politically correct as they can be. They still have opinions, but well, I guess if you were to ask any of our minis, if Kamala was Black, they might have a different talking point. And they go to a school that celebrates all sorts of melanation. So, it's a multifaceted and very cultured, if you will. But even though she said it would be good to have a Black woman president, I still think I'm gonna go with Trump. And I don't know. I don't know.
86% of all students our researcher talked to thought America was ready for a woman president of color.
And do you think people in the US are ready for a woman president?
Yeah, because there hasn't been a woman president
Because there
yet.
hasn't been one yet.
The fact that she's a woman and she's Black, that could help kids who are like her or are different feel a lot more accepted.
Still, some students had different views about gender.
I just feel like boys would probably be better as president, but she's pretty.
Aw. And look, that it's so funny to me because we exist in a time where it is the feminists' children that are very loud, literally little boys dressed in drag being paraded on Good Morning America and being praised by women for painting their nails and wanting to have extensions or wear the color pink. I tell our minis that colors are colors, right? There are associations with colors, though. In the same form and fashion that the word association game, when you say Black and someone says something negative, and then you say white, and then they say something positive, or what kills me, they say pure or innocent. What? No, y'all got to start thinking about practicality. White, bleach, there you go. Or white, those are ashes, or smoke, or what's the big one? The big one, the big one. Eve, don't be stupid. What is it? White roses, right? White roses is when somebody dies. I mean, you might have a little baby's breath in somebody's wedding bouquet, but that's like a garnish. White flour, white sugar, white bread, all that stuff's not good for you. White potatoes, for Christ's sake. White Jesus, for goodness sake. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that. Dr. Short, I didn't mean it. I know white Jesus is your homeboy. And when Black people found out that that might be a story, a bedtime story, they lost their minds. So we might need to bring back white Jesus. That was the only white that was right for some of y'all. But okay, I'm gonna play a little bit more of this video because it's just, to me, it's deep. I mean, y'all might not be getting the same thing that I'm getting out of this, but I'm around children all day. And the fact that I'm not around any white children anymore, it's just so fascinating that they've got all of these different opinions. I kind of like it. It is refreshing to see people have differing views and it not be this angry mob rapey conversation. I mean, you add 10 years to these children and the conversation's going to be ridiculously different. But right now, as they're as honest as they're going to be, children are candid. So whatever they're being exposed to, this is how they feel about the exposure. Taken with a grain of salt, children are little programmable machines. So whatever you put in, you're going to get it out. But like I said, with that one child who he had his hand on his head, it just seems to me that he didn't really want to go there because his mom's been, or maybe it's his dad, or maybe he got two daddies. Can y'all imagine the household that has two dads, but one of them is very conservative? He doesn't wear a rainbow outside, and some stuff is just really gay to him. I mean, he likes what he likes, and it's for the bedroom, whatever. But he also wanted kids. Okay, whatever. And then his partner is flaming, almost embarrassing. But you like what you like in the bedroom. So you've got this duality of sorts. And this little baby is a product of this two daddy household. And it doesn't have to be the mom. I mean, you can look at Tim Walz and see that it doesn't have to be the mom. But I've also seen his wife, so maybe it is the mom.
And stuff, but I just don't think a woman would be right for a president.
Yeah. So why do you think?
Like, do you think she's got both her parents? You think she's the child of a single mom, the child of a single father? Like, how do you she said, I don't think we're ready for a female president. A girl in 2024, when other girls are being blown up by people who don't want them to be educated on any level for them to be resourceful. A first world girl said, nah, I don't know. I don't know. You know, if they were black, you know, so far we've only seen one, but y'all always have an opinion about these people's families, these children's parents, how they grew up, if they eat bologna sandwiches and drink Kool-Aid. Do y'all have the same questions about these other children? How could they exist in a time like this and have these types of thoughts? Who are their parents and what are they being fed?
I think a woman wouldn't be right for a president in your view.
I think because only boys have been president before, and that they would be more stronger.
Overall, the biggest finding, the children in the study were polarized, with what researchers call more extreme responses from the blue state kids than the red state kids.
Donald Trump, he did bad things. He's like Hitler.
He only wanted to be president so that he can just control everybody.
Trump is supporting January 6th now. I remember that January 6th was a bunch of Republicans believing Trump. I feel like they thought Trump was a god. People got arrested. I think one officer died afterwards.
How does this little boy know more than some of y'all? Y'all listen to Kamala tell you that many officers died from January 6th uprising, revolt, march on the Capitol, when quite literally one officer did die from a stroke because, well, we are an unfit country as a whole. You know, it's not just Black America. Other people are dying way faster and way younger, and stress has got to be one of those number one killers, but they don't like to identify it like that. No. Same way Kamala and not my Uncle Luke don't want to say who's killing the Black men that are dying in these crazy, ridiculous, large numbers by gun violence. No, they don't want to put the names and the labels on it. So, I don't know. Well, this child knows more about what happened than some of y'all do. And maybe it's their parents. Maybe it's the teachers. Shout out to some of you educators who you don't let your job define truth as much as you do your job to the best of your ability. But when the math ain't math and you don't pass it off to these babies who don't have the ability to decipher some of these large concepts, it's almost unfair to ask a child about policies and resources. But here we are. Do y'all remember back in school when you believed in Santa Claus and Santa brought them something crazy expensive, and then maybe your Santa bought you some socks or some books, or, you know, you got stuff, but it definitely wasn't in the same price range as Santa bringing somebody else something. That's kind of why I hate the lie of Santa Claus, because, well, how do you do that to a child? Tell them that Santa brought them this. And yeah, that might have been what you could do for them. That might have been all you could do for them. But in a time where other people's going to have a Santa Claus that gets them a little bit more, might not be the best time to lie to them about resources. an imaginary fat white man skimmies himself down your chimney to drop off resources, goodies, trinkets. What? That's, well, okay. Let me not belabor the point. There's one more child that we got to hear from before I turn this video off. I think he's, is it him? No, there he is.
Democrat-leaning kids were about 5 times more likely to say they would not want to go to a pro-Trump house.
Would they be okay with you going over to somebody's house who was really supportive of President Trump?
No,
No. And why not?
because they know that he's not like black people, so they will not be happy to see me.
Would your family let you go over to somebody's house who's really supportive of Donald Trump?
No.
No, they wouldn't.
No.
And why not?
Because like my mom and dad don't like Donald Trump at all. Not a single bit.
Would you be okay going over to somebody's house whose family really likes Kamala Harris?
I think it'd be fine. It's just about the personality of the people.
Would your family be okay if you went over to somebody's house who really liked Donald Trump?
If I want to be real over here, so if I just went over there, I imagine be a good old argument or a fight, maybe like a food fight or something.
Maybe like a food fight or something. Buddy, I don't know if you need to be playing with the food at all. You might need to put the food down. But your parents probably look just like you, plus 20 or 30 years and maybe 200 pounds. I don't know. I hate to judge people, but for the most part, it seems like these vote blue no matter who, and it doesn't matter your race, color, creed, origin, whatever, it doesn't seem to matter. The blue side of things is very intolerant, and the red side of things, well, they tell us that these are the people who aren't accepting. These are the people who are coming for your rights. These are the people you can't exist with. I'll never forget moving to a more seemingly racist area to have had more assistance from random white people than I ever had in my Democratic-leaning state of origin. What? How are the people who call you nigga with the hard R more accepting than these people who say that you're the black friend? I got a black friend. We go to Starbucks on Thursdays, Pilates on Friday. I went to Carnival with her. Okay. Who's teaching hate? Is it the side that accepts that there's a consequence for bad things, going to jail for marching on the Capitol because, that's not what the dominant society, powers that be in office at the time wanted? I mean, I guess if it's Kamala's side of things and she doesn't get her way, they might want the Transformers to march. Can you imagine Transformers marching on the Capitol? Probably have all sorts of devices that are used to penetrate holes. It would be a spectacle. It would be hilarity. But yeah, everybody already laughs at America, so what's one more joke, right?
You like me?
Let's not forget, this is a study about 10 and 11-year-olds. And one issue they all had strong feelings on was Taylor Swift's endorsement of Kamala Harris.
Are you a fan of Taylor Swift?
Ew.
No? So Taylor Swift said who she wanted to vote for. Do you think that her vote is going to influence the election?
Yes.
Yeah? Why do you think that?
The Swifties.
They would not want to be more open to visiting a Democrat supporting household.
Are different by people.
They can.
They
It's not.
can?
It doesn't matter if Trump.
Y'all, I lost that little brown
For
that I wanted to show you.
Hold. Go to a pro-Trump house.
Because they know that he's not.
house who was really supportive of President Trump?
No.
No. And why not?
Because they know that he's not like black people, so he will not. So they will not be happy to see me.
Now, that's not fair. As much as I get it, you got to teach your mini to be aware of their surroundings. You have to teach them to be cautious of the people that they're around. We do exist in a time where that little boy could go to a sleepover and not wake up the next day, not be found with missing organs. It's kind of scary. So I kind of get it, but like I just said, it seems like the blue side of things, the people who want you to be more tolerant of differences of opinions, differing beliefs, a different way of doing things, they are very, very, very consistent. And right now they want everybody to think that, well, Trump is the devil. But, well, does the devil wear Prada? Did some of y'all sell your souls already and you just mad about the payment? Because I just want to let y'all know that Black America has not been paid yet. So even if you sold your soul, you don't even have anything to bargain with just yet. Your soul was not for sale as much as you thought that you could do that. And the way that they break their tools, well, you can look it up yourself. You can look it up, right? Don't lie to the babies, but definitely be honest with them about what you see. Maybe look things up together. Allow them to ask questions because maybe it'll help you see things differently. If they go to a school where the school is prioritizing children who don't speak English over them, that's something you need to know about. Kamala's most unforgivable crime is wanting to unburden us from burdens that we owe. We, being America, owe America some time. You know, when you have to regroup, when you have to do some more strength training, when you have to practice some more because you just got whooped on the court or on the field, there's nothing wrong with that. There is something wrong with playing until you collapse, because then that means that you might not be able to play again. But maybe this is a go big or go home era. We left the you only live once, YOLO, to the woke side of things. You only die once, you live every day. To, well, if you hear, then just exist, and hopefully you won't be a target of systems that you could do something about, because we don't actually want you to do anything about them. We want you to be able to articulate the problem, and then we want you to ignore the problem, right? I'm sorry. Our ancestors had to deal with school systems where they got the hand-me-down books of the white school in the area and they had to erase the answers. They had to peel gum from tools, supplies, and equipment because of the lack of care, because there were no resources, because we didn't ask for integration. We said we need the math to math. And then some black faces in high places said, okay, the math is going to math because when you go to bed at night, you know, you're going to have a clean side and I'm sorry. The math is going to math because when you cook your food and you made it a little too spicy, you have somebody who will cook food one night and there won't be no spices at all, right? Or maybe they cook your greens in the tub. I don't know. That hairline on that boy looks a little suspicious, but I'm not going to do it to him. He's just a child. What I am going to say is that his parents are not doing him wrong by telling him to be careful around racist people. The Donald is a person who benefits from racism, white supremacy, the same way everybody who is white benefits from the system that is racism, white supremacy. But I think it matters people's actions. You know, when you are in power, if you're not actively shitting on me or my family, then I don't know if you're a threat to me right now as much as maybe we just pay attention. You know, we see the bear in the distance, but we don't have to go that way. But if there's high grass in the other direction, and there's been known to be venomous snakes, the most venomous, the most deadly, and you can't see them because they're camouflaged. They're chameleon. They are camelid. Sorry. You can't see the snakes. You can see the bear, you can't see the snakes. I think I'm going to do the other thing. You know, I'm going to go back the way I came. Maybe I don't go in the direction of the bear because it's a whole bear. Maybe I don't go in the direction of the venomous snakes because I can't see the terrain. Or, well, maybe you picked the lesser of two evils. The other day, the Donald, your president, number 45, he said that if he's elected, he will enact the largest deportation America's ever seen. And I'm all for it. I'm so for it that some of you N-words who share my lineage have crashed out over it. You've bought into the fear tactic of they're gonna send us somewhere. Where? Where are they going to send us? People that they couldn't send anywhere after the end of chattel slavery. Do y'all think that they didn't try? Not only did they try to send us places, not only did we not go en masse, but our resilience and fortitude and creativity and ability to make something out of nothing, that's how you got your Black Wall Streets. We don't need them. We need to be left alone. We need a break from saving the world from problems that these melanin deficient people we've allowed to run things over here have caused. We need some time. But it's like when you dig a hole. I'm sorry. It's like when you tell a lie and you don't stop lying. So now the hole, the metaphorical, symbolic hole that you've dug, it's real deep. You can't get yourself out of that hole. Some people keep digging because, well, I'm already this deep. What's a little bit deeper? Maybe they'll stop asking me and I can just try to figure out how to get out from here. Why do you have to be so hard-headed? Why can't it just be that you were wrong, you messed up, you learned, you know better now, and you want to do better? People will help you if you have that mindset because, well, a lot of y'all grew up Christian, do unto others, that sort of thing. You want people to treat you the way you want to be treated at the end of the day. So accountability sucks for everybody. When people are accountable, it makes them human. And when they're human, you're more likely to forgive them. But damn, if Kamala isn't taking that and running with it, she has her Black accent, she has her Indian accent, she has her Southern accent. I mean, she even has her code switch original white people accent. Now she's got a Spanish accent. Does she have a German accent? Is she going to Heil America, or is that too close to the Trumpers? she might have a Trump type accent, if we're being honest, but psychologists have said that it is her imposter syndrome. It is her wanting to get her way by any means necessary. It's like these people have studied our story, they've studied our family. They heard the words that moved us and said, yeah, that's the magic touch right there, by any means necessary. I don't know that the elder ancestor Malcolm X meant it in a way that people want us to allow a person who's gained their notoriety on their backs or on their knees to a position of power that will actively, completely remove us from the things that are ours. I don't think he meant that. I also don't think that these greats, these elder ancestor master teachers that you guys love to venerate and praise and worship and respect and just do all of these things for recognition for these people. I don't think that they had the same allowables that you do. I don't think that they could afford it. At what cost? We exist in a time where even white America is trying to make the math. They are driving to the borders. They are filming things with their own cameras, filming people crossing the border with no border patrol in sight, to be hushed, to be silenced. America might need a name change. Like the CBC, they need a name change. Can't be the Congressional Black Caucus if you are not for Black people. So, the United Immigrants of the World, maybe that's America's new name. I'm still working on it. I'm not good with names as much as, well, I'm Black and I'm proud. That's the name I'm cool with. Kamala said we need an economic opportunity. We need to pave a way. We need to unburden. We need to inspire. We need to do it all, except reparations. No, we're not going to do that. But the other side said, hey, she's talking about reparations, so you can't vote for her because y'all are going to have to pay for it. Do you know how much America already pays for that we don't agree with? Y'all eat it during tax season. You eat it during the year. You eat it every time inflation happens. You don't complain in a way that changes things. No, you eat it. Actually, sometimes you do change things. Sometimes certain groups get benefits because of the changes. And then sometimes, like the Asians, they lose their diversity inclusion and then they start calling foul. The most unforgivable crime would have to be running for office in a country that is not yours. How can you be 100% for America if you don't have the same ties to the land? I mean, you can look at the melanated less society, even the ones who have been here since the 1800s, 1776, 1526, if you will. You can look at them and see that they don't even put America first. No, only us. Same way you teach your minis to take care of their belongings because they're not the ones who paid for it. You're not trying to replace all these different phone chargers. You're not trying to replace all these laptops, tablets, and phones because they're careless. They don't take care of their shit. No, you teach them about quality. You teach them the meaning of value and hard work. Hopefully, when they work hard for something, they appreciate all of what went into it. But if you're just allowing people to come over and be entitled and take things and not even have to apologize. And then the apology comes in the form of, yeah, we stole from you, but we're not going to pay you back. Shout out to Governor Newsom. The Democrats opened the borders, had it unmanned for months, years, and all because they knew that after a while it's going to be too late to do anything about it. Trump can try to deport all of these people. He can try. Operation Wetback happened. And yeah, I know y'all don't like it, these stereotypical words. Get comfortable getting uncomfortable. Operation Wetback, which was U.S. immigration law enforcement program conducted in 1954 that resulted in the mass deportation of as many as 1.3 million Mexicans who had entered the country illegally. How many of those 1.3 million you think came right back? This picture is in black and white, but it looks a little familiar. I mean, really, outside of their clothes being dated and it being in black and white, that could easily have been from yesterday. Buses, planes, cargo on the top of people's cars, trains, walking on foot, bicycles, Ubers, Lyfts, and more. People get here. They stay here. They get found out. They get sent back. They come back. The consequence does not fit the crime when it comes to stealing from Black America. But, well, that's just my thought on the most unforgivable crime. Maybe y'all have different thoughts. I don't know, but I really would hate to belabor this one point. But as it is election season, as we are dealing with a candidate that we didn't choose, literally, this woman lost her bid for the presidency 5 years ago. America agreed, this ain't it. So now they get to rape us. They get to force us into the conversation because she says that she's not white. She says that she is a melanated person of color. What? No, 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 no. The lesser of two evils. If that's your argument, then you shouldn't be voting. But California, y'all might need to vote. There is no lesser of two evils when your governor goes all the way to the end zone and then throws the ball in the other direction. There is no lesser of two evils when people who worked on something for 2 years can't even bring it up for a vote. Not that they had to specifically vote on it, but I mean, your name's on it. Why wouldn't you vote for it? Are you not proud of the work that you've done? And how stupid are you to think that one bill that got pushed through that identified all of these agencies and support that didn't get pushed through would still turn into a law because it slid through the cracks? I mean, I don't understand how y'all get to some of these answers other than you've been taught bad math by people who don't want you to win. It's like a person who's blind getting money that doesn't have the Braille counterpart on it. They really have to trust that you gave them the right president. Maybe they're newly blind. Maybe they don't even know the feel of these dollars just yet, and you done screwed them out of a lot of money. Shame on you taking advantage of someone like that. But this is America, right? Before I go, here's something. I think you'll like this. Well, maybe you won't like it because it's a commercial.
The U.S. election is now just over a month away, and the race remains
in the electorate. President Trump, on the other hand, has promised to return to what many voters see as the halcyon days of his administration, at least before COVID, without a lot of specifics. His only major specific is that he will renew the tax cuts that he enacted early in his administration that gave a big tax break to the ultra wealthy. Harris has been able to articulate a message, calling for a two-state solution, calling for a ceasefire, and that seems, at least for the time being, to have calmed some dissenters on the Democratic side.
So, my favorite unbiased news outlet of sorts, Sky News, they've got both sides. There is a margin of error to be paid attention to with regards to this upcoming election for the president. And last time they didn't err on the side of caution because they said that Trump couldn't win, that he wasn't going to win. And then, well, he surprised a lot of people. Mail-in ballots, when COVID isn't as big of a scare as it was 4 years ago, that might have been the straw that broke the camel's back. How is a mail-in ballot constitutional when we come from a people who had to tell you how many jelly beans are in the jar in order to validate their competency? How are we existing in a time where you can have your election ballot written in your native language in America and it's not English? What? No, I don't think you need to participate in these politics if you don't even speak the language. The official language of this country is English. The language that we do business in is English. But y'all got ballots in Espanol in anything other than English? Okay, Braille. You can have a ballot in Braille because not being able to see shouldn't mean that you can't vote. But if you don't speak English, that's got to be treason. You're not ready. We're taking people who are babies in this nation and giving them all sorts of responsibility, and then we're mad at the outcome. You're not going to let your 10-year-old drive an hour. Maybe you'll let your 10-year-old drive in the parking lot. But you're not going to let your 10-year-old drive on the interstate from state to state. You're not going to do that. You will let your 10-year-old say that they don't want to be a boy anymore and start hormone therapy and sterilize themselves. I don't know. America's backwards. America's so backwards that some things you do make a lot of sense, and then some things you do, well, you already did it, but then you won't follow through. If children don't have rights of their own and the parents are supposed to protect them from the boogeyman, then give the parents their rights back. Or are we about to exist in a time where our children are not our own? Handmaid's Tale. Y'all should check that out. I think it's on Hulu or on your Fire Stick or on your streaming platform. But I mean, it's a dystopian reality that we might be looking at if Kamala and Walls become the president and vice president. You are not your own. You will unburden the burdens by becoming an opportunity for the economy, right? That's what we want. We want an economic opportunity to inspire the world. No. I'm inspired by you guys. I'm inspired by our fight that doesn't stop. I'm inspired by the minis who ask questions. I'm inspired by you who show up when I have thoughts that might not be popular, but conversations that I think need to happen either way. And it makes me want to play some music. It makes me want to tell you about our roots. Maybe you've heard it, maybe you haven't.
Are you meant to be a
Obviously,
life coach?
YouTube was going to give us a commercial. It was going to be
And
too
inside
good
the
to be
ebook,
true
I
to be a
reveal my
smooth
insights
transition.
of over
No need to pretend anymore. The truth is in your face. FBA roots, FBA roots, FBA roots. Oh, no need to pretend anymore. The truth is in your face. FBA roots, FBA roots, FBA roots. The Moors once ruled from woman to man. In Europe's heart, they wanted our land. Dr. Clyde reveals the hidden past, where blackness thrived, a vivid past. No need to pretend anymore. The truth is in your face. FBA roots, FBA roots, FBA roots. Oh, no need to pretend anymore. The truth is in your face. FBA roots, FBA roots, FBA roots. From maroons to moors, the truth is told. Stories of strength, being black is bold. Cultures blended, histories merged. A bond of funk, our souls converge. European tales, they twisted well to hide the truth, but their plans soon fail. See, Dr. Clyde's light shines beyond bright. We the black aboriginals are righteous in this fight.
Yeah, you know what I just thought about? Um, Shout out to you, Yoshi, because the music always gives me a thought. The 5 reasons, just in case you needed me to spell these reasons out for you. I guess the biggest one is going to be the guilt and shame. Can you imagine being in a position of power and not actually doing anything for the people who got you there? I think you would have to be on demon time to not really care. But like we've already talked about tonight, if you can put on an accent depending on your audience, then maybe you sleep fine at night. Maybe. I also think about like if you fumble the ball in the end zone, maybe you don't sleep fine at night. I think these open borders are going to be something that she's never going to be able to forget. And the fear of retribution, that's you blacks that I've been talking to every week about the decision to stay your black ass at home, please. And in a time where we used to exist, where all you had to do was be black, pay your taxes, and die, y'all are jumping out the window and crashing for a woman who won't even say it out her mouth to your face. Think, well, one of the reasons that I had was an internal conflict, but if you are of the baby killing regime, I don't know if you have any internal conflicts as much as maybe just betraying your country. You're American, Kamala. Why are you doing this to America? Should you be in Jamaica or Canada or like India? Like, should you be somewhere else if you can't put America first? I don't know. And paranoia. You know, the fact that she laughs at the weirdest times, I find that it might be that uncomfortable laugh, that laugh when you don't know what the hell you're talking about, but if you laugh, then maybe people will give you the benefit of the doubt. But ultimately, Who the fuck is Kamala? Kamala Emhoff. Kamala Devi Emhoff Harris. Kamala Gopalan. Who is she? Because Candace Owens has been doing a marvelous job jumping down the rabbit hole of this woman's identity, and I don't think she knows who she is anymore. If you take into consideration the fact that people said that them streets was real hard, and that might be why she is such a campaigner, champion, if you will, a cape wearer for killing babies, maybe you lose yourself in that loss of self. Maybe you can do things that people might have a hard time doing. Well, I've also seen pictures of people smiling with burning bodies and hanging trees. And after church on Sunday, come to the barbecue where we're going to cook some niggas. I've seen the spicy less people also smiling in front of chambers filled with people who might have been gassed. So, know your enemy. Because if you don't, then maybe you are also guilty of the most unforgivable crime. And that's forgetting who you are. But if you're a Black American, you got to know your FBA roots.
No need to pretend anymore. The truth is in your face, FBA roots.